Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to make this bag. Now we're going to get started with our yarn as well as a 4mm crochet hook. I also used 2 skeins of this yarn to complete this bag. I'll leave a link in the description box below on where you can get this as well. So we're going to start by making a slip knot, and you can do this in whichever way is most comfortable for you. And then we're going to start with our base, and we're going to start that by making 30 chains, or a multiple of 3 plus 4. So in total I'll be making 34 chains, but you can start with any multiple of 3 plus 4. To make a chain stitch, simply yarn over your hook and pull it through the loop. That's 1 chain, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now go ahead and continue making chains until you have 34 chains in total. Now after making 34 chains, we're going to start by making a double crochet inside the 3rd chain from the hook. This is the 1st chain, this is the 2nd chain, this would be the 3rd chain from our hook, and inside that chain we're going to work a double crochet. Now to make a double crochet, simply yarn over your hook like so, insert your hook inside the 3rd chain and pull up a loop. Now you'll have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull the yarn through the 1st loop, and then yarn over and pull the yarn through the last 2 loops. And once completed, we're going to go ahead and place a marker on the top of the stitch that we just created. And then we're going to do a double crochet in that same stitch. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into the stitch and pull up a loop. We're going to yarn over and pull the yarn through the first 2 loops, and then we're going to yarn over and pull the yarn through the last 2 loops. Now if you are a beginner, you can also go ahead and place a stitch marker on this stitch as well. This is because where our first stitch marker is, this represents where we're going to close out our round. Where our 2nd stitch marker is represents the last of the set. Now inside this stitch, the 2 stitches that we would have skipped, the 2 chain stitches that we would have skipped initially, counts as 1 stitch. This is our 2nd stitch, and this is our 3rd. Now once completed, we're going to do 1 double crochet into the next 30 stitches going all the way down, or 1 double crochet in each stitch until we get to our last chain. So again, yarn over and insert inside the next chain, pull up a loop, and then we yarn over and pull the yarn through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull the yarn through the last 2 loops. And in the next chain, we do a double crochet. And a double crochet in the next stitch. And we're going to continue doing double crochets like that until we get to the last chain. Now once you've completed your double crochets going across the row in all stitches except our last chain stitch, in the last chain we're going to do 6 double crochets in that same chain. So again, we yarn over and insert our hook inside the chain, pulling up a loop, yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, and then we pull through the last 2 loops. And on that first chain, we're going to go ahead and place a stitch marker. And then we're going to do 5 more, so 6 in total. This being our first, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now in the last stitch of the set, we're going to place a marker there as well. We want to know where the set begins and ends. So where we have the 6 double crochets in our last stitch, this is the first stitch and this is the last of 6 stitches. Now once done, we're going to do 1 double crochet in each stitch going across the row until we get to the last stitch where we already have 3 stitches inside that stitch. You can also yarn over your tail if you have one by placing it forward. So we yarn over a hook, and our next stitch will align with this stitch here that's coming from the other row. So here we pull up a loop and complete the double crochet. So the next stitch would fall here, and it will pretty much be the same until we get to the end of the row. So continue doing double crochets until we get to the very last stitch of the row. Now once you've completed your double crochets going across the row and you're at the last stitch, which is here, we're going to do 3 more double crochets inside this stitch. Inside the stitch we already have 3 stitches. Again, this would have been the 2 chains that we would have skipped initially, then our first double crochet and our second double crochet that we would have created. These 2 chains will act as a double crochet, so in total this is counted as 3 different stitches. And now we're going to create 3 more double crochets inside the same stitch so that we have a count of 6, just as we have on this end. So yarn over and insert your hook, pulling up a loop, then we yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. And I'm going to place a stitch marker here so that we know where the set begins and where it ends. So this is where the set would begin, and this is where the set would end. So that's 1. Inside the same stitch we do 2, and 3, and that's going to make 6 stitches in total inside that same stitch. Now we're going to close out the round, and we're going to do that by making this loop much larger like this. And where this marker is where we'll be closing out the round. So you can go ahead and remove the marker. And then we're going to insert or hook from the back of the stitch, hooking this loop onto it, and then we're going to pull the loop through. Now this here will act as a stitch, so we want it to be similar in sizes to all the other stitches. I'm going to pull on it a bit. You can pull on the yarn to make it smaller or pull on it to make it larger depending on the size of the other stitches. You want it to be pretty close in size. Now once you're comfortable with the size of it, You can go ahead and pull on the working yarn like so to decrease the size of the loop. And this would be our first round. Now to start the second round, we're going to do 2 double crochets inside this first stitch here. To make our first double crochet, we're going to insert our hook inside the stitch, pulling up a loop like this. And with 2 loops on the hook, we're going to yarn over and pull the yarn through both loops. And then we're going to chain 1, and this will act as our first double crochet. Now inside that same stitch, we're going to do another double crochet. And we're going to place a marker on top of this stitch, because this is where we'll be closing out our round. Now you can go ahead and remove your marker, and atop this stitch we're going to do 2 double crochets inside that stitch. So 1 and 2. Now once completed, we're going to do 1 double crochet in each stitch going across the row until we get to this marker here. So that should be 30 double crochets in total. So again, to do that, we yarn over, insert it under the stitch like that and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, pull through the last 2 loops. And we're going to continue doing double crochets until we get to the stitch marker at the end of the row. So we'll continue that until we get to here. Now once we get to the end of the row where the stitch marker is, we're going to remove the stitch marker. And in that stitch where the stitch marker was, we're going to do 2 double crochets inside that same stitch. So 1 double crochet and 2 double crochets. And we're going to do 2 double crochets in each of the next 5 stitches. So until we get to this stitch marker here, we'll be doing 2 double crochets in each stitch. So 2 double crochets in this stitch, 2 double crochets in this stitch, 1, 2, 2 double crochets in this stitch, 1, 2, 2 double crochets in this stitch, 1, 2, and in this stitch where we have the stitch marker, we're going to remove it, and we're going to go ahead and do 2 double crochets in that last stitch as well. So 1 and 2. And you can see our oval base getting larger here. And now we're going to do 1 double crochet in each stitch going across the row until we get to this stitch marker here. So again, to do that, we yarn over a hook, insert in the next stitch and do a double crochet. And in the stitch beside it, we do 1 double crochet. And 1 double crochet here as well. And we're going to continue doing 1 double crochet in each stitch until we get to this stitch marker. Now once we've gotten to the end of the row here where our stitch marker is, we're going to remove the stitch marker, and in that stitch where the stitch marker was, we're going to do 2 double crochets inside that stitch. So 1, 2, and then we're going to do 2 double crochets in each of the next 3 stitches. So 2 double crochets here, 1, 2, in the stitch beside it, which is here, we're going to do 2 double crochets, and in the last stitch, which is here, and this is the same stitch that we would have done to close out the previous round. In that stitch, we're going to do 2 double crochets. So on this end in total, we should have 6 sets where we've done 2 double crochets in each stitch, and that should occur on both ends. So now we're going to go ahead and close out the round, and we're going to do that in the exact same way that we did in the previous round, where we made this stitch larger. We're going to remove our marker. We're going to insert or hook from the back of the stitch where the marker was, hooking the loop here to our hook, and then we're going to pull it through, and we're going to adjust the size of the loop by pulling on our working yarn, and we're going to make the adjustments until this stitch here is similar in sizes to all the other stitches. Now the next row will be much simpler because we'll be doing 1 double crochet in each stitch going all the way around. So in our first stitch here, we're going to do the double crochet the same way like we did in the last round, where we insert or hook under the stitch, pulling up a loop, and then we're going to yarn over, pulling the yarn through both loops, and chain 1. In the stitch beside it, we're going to do 1 double crochet. So yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through the first 2, pull through the last 2. Now on that second stitch there, we're going to place our marker on that stitch because that is where we'll be closing out our round. And then we're going to continue to do 1 double crochet in each stitch going all the way around. So continue again doing 1 double crochet in each stitch until we're back here. Now once you've gotten to the final few stitches of the row, we're going to continue that in the same way as we've done, where we've done 1 double crochet in each stitch going all around, and in the last stitches that will be the same as well. So I'm going to do 1 double crochet here and 1 double crochet here as well. Now that I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and close out the round, and I'm going to do that in the exact same way we've done the last few rounds. In that, I'm going to make this loop larger, and then I'm going to remove my marker from this stitch. Where my marker was, I'm going to insert my hook from the back of the stitch, hooking the loop to it. And then I'm going to pull the loop through. And I'm also going to be pulling on my working yarn to adjust the size of the loop. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do the shell pattern for the bag. Now we're going to start by doing a double crochet in our first stitch, and we'll do that similar to how we've done our first double crochets in the previous round, where we insert our hook under the first stitch here, pulling up a loop, and with 2 loops on the hook we yarn over and pull through both loops, and then we chain 1. Now after doing that, we're going to make another chain, and on that chain we're going to go ahead and place our marker, because this is where we'll be closing out our round. Now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and in the stitch beside it we're going to do 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to chain 1, skip 2 chains, 1, 2, and in the stitch beside it we'll do 3 double crochets. So this is 1, 2, and 3. This will be the stitch pattern for this entire row. So again, we chain 1, we skip 2 stitches, and in the stitch beside it we do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Again, we're going to repeat this going all the way around the row, and I'm going to show you how to do this one more time. We chain 1, skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and in the third stitch here we do 3 double crochets. So that is 1, 2, and 3. So continue doing the stitch pattern like this until we get to the end of the round. So I've completed the pattern going all around, and this is what my work looks like so far. I've just completed doing a set of 3 double crochets here, and now I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to skip the next 2 stitches, so this stitch here, and this would have been the stitch from the last round where I closed out the round. I'm going to skip that as well. And we began the round by doing 1 double crochet. Inside that stitch I'm going to do 2 more double crochets, so that we'll have a total set of 3 double crochets in that stitch. So 1 and 2. So now we have 3 double crochets in total in the stitch, and now I'm going to go ahead and close out the round. So I'm going to do that by making this loop larger, and we're going to do this very similarly to how we've done it before, where we'll remove the marker from the stitch here where we're going to be closing out the round. So this would have been our chain 1 stitch, and we're going to insert our hook from the back of the stitch, so like this. Hooking the loop to the hook, we're gonna just go ahead and pull that through. And of course we pull on the working yarn to adjust the size of the loop. Now for this pattern, we'll be working our double crochets inside the spaces created by the chain 1 in the next round. We're going to start by doing 1 double crochet in this space here, and the way we do that is by inserting our hook inside the space, hooking it to our working yarn and pulling up a loop. With 2 loops on the hook, we're going to yarn over and pull the yarn through both loops, and then we're going to chain 1. Now we're also going to make another chain 1, and on that chain we'll place a marker because this is where we'll be closing out the round. So we'll always start by just doing 1 double crochet, and then inside the next space, which is here, we're going to do 3 double crochets inside that space. So we yarn over and insert our hook inside the space, pulling up a loop, and with 3 loops on the hook, we yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. So that's 1 double crochet, 2 and 3, and then we're going to chain 1, and in the next space, which falls here, we're going to do 3 double crochets. So that is 1, 2 and 3, and I'm going to do this one last time, as this will be the stitch pattern going all the way around. We chain 1, and in the next space, which is here, we do 3 double crochets. So that's 1, 2 and 3. So it's pretty simple. Go ahead and continue the stitch pattern going all the way around. After completing the row, your work should look something like this, going all the way around. And I've just completed a set of 3 double crochets inside the space, and now I'm going to chain 1, and where we have 1 double crochet that we would have started with inside the space here, we're going to complete this set by doing 2 more double crochets here. Now this is how we'll always end our round. So inside the space we do 1 and 2. So in the rounds that follow, this is how we'll be ending the round. Now once done, we made this loop larger. We're going to remove our marker here as we did in the previous round, inserting our hook to the back of the stitch where our marker was. So this is the chain 1 stitch, so like that. It looks like that. We hook our loop to it and pull the loop through. And we pull on the working yarn to adjust the size of the loop, and that closes out the round completely. And now we're going to go ahead and start the next row, and this is how we'll also start each row going forward. We insert our hook inside the space, pulling up a loop. With 2 loops on the hook, we yarn over and pull the yarn through both loops and chain 1. And then we're going to add another chain, and we're going to place our marker on that chain because this is where we'll be closing out the round. So we'll always add the marker here in this round as well as the rounds to come. And then in the next space here, we're going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. So we're pretty much going to do the exact same thing that we did in the last round, where we chain 1, and in the space we do 3 double crochets. 1, 2 and 3. So you can go ahead and continue the round as we did in the last round, going all the way around, and then close out the round in exactly the same way that we did before. And what I want is for us to go ahead and complete 16 rounds of these shell stitches all together. After completing 16 rounds of this shell pattern, your project should look something like this. So you'll see that I've done 16 rounds here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. So now we're going to go ahead and close out the round completely. So you can go ahead and make the loop on your last stitch bigger like this. But this time we're going to go ahead and cut our yarn, pulling it all the way through. And then we're going to take a crochet needle. We're going to insert our yarn inside the needle, and where our marker is, where we've been closing out the round, so this is the chain stitch, we're going to remove the marker. We're going to insert our crochet needle underneath that chain stitch there, so like this, pulling the yarn through. And then we're going to insert the crochet needle inside the last stitch here. So right in the middle here, we're going to insert our needle, and it's going to come out through the back bump of this stitch as well. So again, we go inside the stitch, through the back bump, like this, pulling the yarn all the way through. And you'll see that now the stitches look identical to all the other stitches. And I'm also going to be inserting my yarn in the back of the stitches here to hide the tail. And once it's secured, we're just going to go ahead and cut the excess yarn. Now once done, we're going to work on the upper section of our bag, and we're going to do that. We're going to start by making sure that our bag is evenly placed. So I folded it in half from the bottom like this. And once your bag is evenly placed, you can go ahead and fold it in half. Now take a marker, and we're going to place it right on the middle here. So on this side, I'll place a marker on this side. And I'll take another marker, and I'll place it on this side as well, to mark where the center is for our bag. I've gone ahead and created the upper portion of the bag on this side as well as this side for the handle. And I'm going to show you how to do the same on this side. This method can be repeated on both sides, and once finished, I'll show you how to complete the bag. Now we're going to start by taking our yarn, and you can wrap it around your finger like so. Now we still have our marker placed right in the center here, and we'll be starting our work on the outer corner of this cluster. So our marker is right here in the middle, and we'll be working from this stitch. Now we start by inserting our hook at the top of the stitch like so. We're going to yarn over and pull the yarn through. And then we're going to make 3 chains chain 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to work our next stitch not in this space that's directly beside the stitch that we just worked this chain 3 inside of, but in the space right here where we'll be doing 3 double crochets. So yarn over your hook, and inside this space here we're going to work 3 double crochets. This is our first, and atop the first double crochet, go ahead and place a marker, as this is where the round will end. So again, this is our first double crochet. We're going to work 2 more. Now once you've completed the 3 double crochets, we're going to repeat the pattern that we've been doing thus far. In that, we'll be chaining 1 and then working 3 double crochets inside the next space. So it's 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and in the next space, which is here, we do 1, 2, 3 double crochets. Now continue the pattern going all the way around until we get to this marker. Now I've completed my row going all the way around to this stitch marker here, and I've completed the set of 3 double crochets, but I have not done a chain 1 at this point. Also, you'll see another space right here before we get to the marker. However, we will not be working 3 double crochets inside this space. Instead, we'll be working a double crochet on the outer stitch of this cluster. It's the same as we did on the other side. So you'll see the marker here which marks the center for our bag. This is the center stitch, and we'll be working our last stitch on the outer corner stitch here. So again, we won't be doing a chain 1 stitch here. Instead, we're going to directly work a double crochet into this stitch. So yarn over, and we're going to insert or hook inside the stitch and pull up a loop, and then we're going to complete the double crochet, and then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn or work. Now, skipping to the space or slot that's here, we're going to be working 3 double crochets inside this space. So we'll work the first double crochet, and atop that double crochet, go ahead and place a marker, because this is where the round will end. So that's our first, or second, and or third double crochet. Now chain 1, and in the next space we do our 3 double crochets. So we'll pretty much continue the pattern from this point as normal. Chain 1 and 3 double crochets in this space as well. 1, 2, and 3. So go ahead and continue the pattern going all the way around until we get to this stitch marker here. Now I've gone ahead and completed the row, and now I've gotten to where my marker is. Again, once we get to the last stitch of the row, we will not be doing a chain one. Instead, we'll be working a double crochet inside the stitch where we've placed our marker. This will be the last stitch of the row. So I'm going to go ahead and remove my marker. And inside that stitch, I'm going to work a double crochet. And then I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and turn my work. Now in the space that's here, we'll be working 3 double crochets. And on the first double crochet that we do, we'll be placing our marker atop that stitch because that is where the round will end. So that's 1, 2, 3. And we'll pretty much do this row in the same way that we did the last, in that we'll chain 1, and in the next space that's here, we'll do 3 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, and 3. We chain 1 and do 3 double crochets here, and we're going to repeat the pattern going all the way to this marker. Now once we get to the end of the row, we're going to end the row in the same way that we did the last row, in that we won't be doing a chain 1 stitch here, but instead we'll be working a double crochet in the stitch where our marker is. So I'm going to remove the marker, and in the stitch where our marker was, I'll work a double crochet. And that closes out the round, and for the next round we'll start by chaining 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to turn our work. And we're going to do this row in the exact same way that we did the last row, and all the rows to come will be done in this way as well, where we'll start by doing 3 double crochets in this space. So that's 1, and atop the first double crochet, we'll go ahead and place our marker back on that stitch because that's where we'll be closing out the round. So again, that's 1 double crochet, 2 and 3, and then we chain 1 and work 3 double crochets in this space as well. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And then we chain 1 and repeat that, going all the way around to this marker here. Now I've gotten to the end of the round, and we're going to end it in the exact same way as we did the last, in that we won't be doing a chain 1 stitch here. We'll be working a double crochet in the stitch where our marker is. So you can remove your marker and do a double crochet inside the stitch. And then we're going to make 3 chain stitches, 1, 2, 3, and turn or work. Now in the next round, as well as in the rounds to come, we'll be doing it in the exact same way as we've done our last few rounds. And what you'll notice is that there will be a natural decrease that will happen as well. So as on this side where we see the natural decrease occurring here, where the bag now becomes diagonal in shape. That will also occur on this side as well with the stitch pattern I've provided thus far. Now go ahead and continue the stitch pattern until you have 3 clusters left. Now once we have 3 clusters remaining, 1, 2, 3, we're going to complete our last row before we do the handle. So again, the last row here is going to be done in exactly the same way we've done before, where we chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we turn our work to start the next row. Now we're going to start by doing 3 double crochets inside the space here. That's 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to chain 1 and do 3 double crochets inside this space as well. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to do our last double crochet atop this stitch here. Now at this point we're going to go ahead and make our handle, and it will look very similar to what I would have done on this side. Now we're going to start by chaining 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to turn our work. Now instead of working in the space that is here, we're going to work 2 double crochets inside this space here that we normally would have skipped, but now we're going to go ahead and work 2 double crochets inside this space, and that's going to make a cluster of 3 double crochets in total, as the chain 3 will act as a double crochet. Once completed, chain 1, and in the space that's here we're going to work 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3, and then we chain 1, and in the last space that's here we're going to work 3 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Now the handle for this bag is a 2-row repeat, with this being the first. In the second row we're going to start it the same by chaining 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to turn our work. Now we're going to work 3 double crochets directly into the space that is here. So that's 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to chain 1 and work 3 double crochets inside the next space as well. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Now once completed, we chain 1, and we're going to work a double crochet in the last stitch, which is here. So again, yarn over, we're going to insert our hook right between stitches here, pulling up a loop, and complete a double crochet. So that completes our second row, and I'm going to show you how to repeat the pattern at this point. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn your work, And inside the space created here, we're going to do 2 additional double crochets. One, 2. These will complete the cluster, as our chain 3 will act as a double crochet here. Now once completed, we chain 1, and in the space that's here, we're going to do 3 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and in the last space here we're going to do 3 double crochets. So again, that is 1, 2, 3. And for the second row of this 2-row repeat set, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, turn our work, and then we're going to work 3 double crochets directly into the space that's here. So that's 1, 2, 3, and then we chain 1 and work 3 double crochets inside this space as well. 1, 2, 3, and then we chain 1 and work our last double crochets right in between these stitches here. Now go ahead and continue the pattern until we have a total of 16 rounds. The round count will start from this point where we have our 2 clusters and then 3, 2 clusters and then 3, 2 clusters and then 3, and so on. Now once you've created your handle, it will be time for us to join them together. Now I'm going to start that process by turning my handles inside out, and that's because the seam that will be created should be on the inside of the bag. So I'm going to turn it like so. In the stitch to the outer corner, which falls here, we're going to insert our hook and pull through the loop. And we also want to take our working yarn, as we'll be working it from under where we'll be joining these pieces together. Now we'll be working slip stitches going along the row. To get started, insert your hook inside the next stitch, which is here, right through the middle. And we're also going to be inserting our hook through the middle of the corresponding stitch on this side. Now taking our yarn, we're going to yarn over and pull it through the first stitch, pull it through the second, and then pull it through the loop. And that will pretty much be how we'll be doing our slip stitches going across the row. So I'll do that again. We insert inside the first stitch, insert inside the second, yarn over and pull up a loop through the first stitch, second stitch, and through the loop. So I'll continue doing that going across the row. In the very last stitch, we do the same. Now, making our loop larger, go ahead and cut your yarn, pulling the yarn through, and then we're going to go ahead and take a crochet needle and pull the yarn through the stitches here at the back. And once done, you can just go ahead and cut the excess yarn. And this method can be used for any loose yarn that we've done so far throughout the project. Now this is how the final product would look. And for our handle, if you found this tutorial helpful, please go ahead and like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so as yet. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!